Jim Donovan, Channel 3 News. The National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today, from Three Rivers Stadium, it's the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. And by MCI, communications for the next 100 years.
The year was 1969, and that was the year that the New York Jets upset the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III. 1969 was also the year of the Miracle Mets. They defeated the Orioles in 5 in the World Series, and in 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon. The #1 song was Aquarius, and in 1969, the Cleveland Browns defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh by a score of 24-3. That was the last time the Browns were to win in the city of Pittsburgh, but that game was in Pitt Stadium. The next year, they moved to Three Rivers Stadium, where the Cleveland Browns have yet to win. Hello, everybody. I'm Charlie Jones. This is Jimmy Sefalo. That may be the longest jinx in the National Football League.
It probably is. I was here at one of those games, 1971. I was sitting up near the flagpole at Three River Stadium, a great seat. Frenchy two-foul rush for 131 yards, and the Steelers won 26-9. Who would ever think it would have lasted another 14 seasons, though?
And the Cleveland Browns have tried almost everything to break the jinx.
Nearly. Last year, they brought some dirt from Cleveland Stadium. They brought it here and threw it around Three Rivers. That didn't work. They've stayed in 3 separate hotels in 3 years. They've come by bus. This year, they came by plane, and nothing has worked.
They've even said they may fly to Cincinnati and take the boat up sometime. Now, when these two teams meet, though, you can throw out all the records because it's really for bragging rights.
It is. They're playing for that piece of turf, the bragging rights between here and Cleveland, about 100 miles. So it's a very important contest for the players and for the fans of both cities as well.
And even with a slow start, they are both still in the Central Division race.
Right. The Steelers at 1-3, a terrible start, but if they win today, they're right back into the contest. And Cleveland needs to win to stay atop the division.
Marty Schottenheimer, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, with their record, as you saw, of 2-2. And Chuck Noll, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, with a record of 1-3. It rained last night, heavy at times, drizzling this morning about an hour ago. The cloud cover cleared away. The sun is shining, and it's a perfect afternoon for football. As Cleveland is kicking off, and that is Matt Barr to put it in play as we are underway at Three Rivers Stadium. Chuck Sanders on the return. And he returns to about the 24-yard line. A story all in his own. Number 45, Chuck Sanders, as we look first to the offense. Mark Malone, number 16, with Abercrombie, Ernest Jackson, Calvin Sweeney. Lewis Lips is scheduled to start as a wide receiver, and Preston Gothard is the tight end. We'll just have to wait and see whether Lips is in there or not. Penny, Rinstra, Webster, Long, and Ilkin, that offensive line. Abercrombie. 5 yards to the 29. It'll be 2nd down and 5 as Ray Ellis makes the tackle. We'll look to the defense of the Cleveland Browns with Reggie Camp, Bob Golick, and Carl Hairston, the front 3. And we'll see Banks, Johnson, Griggs, and Matthews, the linebackers. Minifield, Dixon, Ellis, and Rockins in the secondary for Cleveland. 2nd down and 5. Ball game just underway. Pittsburgh with the ball at their own 29-yard line. And the give is to the second back through, who is Abercrombie again, 34-yard line. This will be a first down. First down of the ball game as Eddie Johnson makes the tackle.
Mike Webster, number 52, in the middle of your screen, just coming off the injured reserve lift, going against Golick. A nice block by Webster. They're excited about it today because they're very good friends in the offseason. And there's a rivalry going on, but you see number 52, Webster, handling 79 Golick to start the contest this afternoon.
First down, and Ernest Jackson gets the call. And he is dropped at the line of scrimmage for no gain. It'll be 2nd down and 10 as Chip Banks is there to cover him for the Cleveland Browns. Ernest Jackson with Philadelphia, with San Diego, 1,000-yard rusher. The knock on him has been that he can't catch the ball and he can't block, but he certainly can run with the ball. No question about that.
He can, and he's a typical Steeler back in one sense, that he runs tackle to tackle very well. Not very fast, but a very strong runner. And with that trapping offense of the Steelers, he plays a vital role. At least he did last week in their win over Houston.
Second down and 10. You look for the pass, so David Hughes comes in. Ernest Jackson comes out. He's a better receiver. Malone to throw. The pass is complete, and it's David Hughes, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, who pulls it down at the 40. A gain of 6 on the play, so it'll be 3rd down and 4 as the strong safety Ray Ellis makes the tackle.
Malone has come under a lot of criticism here in town. He's only completed 40% of his passes. A week ago in the warm-ups, he lost Louis Lips before the game started. John Stallworth is out of the contest. But the important thing is, despite having another poor day as far as percentage is concerned, he came back and he won the football game. If there's something good to be said about Malone's performance so far, that's about it.
3rd down and 4. Rich Ehrenberg is in. Abercrombie comes out in this offensive set. And Ehrenberg takes the ball, showing motion, takes the handoff, has the first down, breaks it at the 50, and comes down inside the 45-yard line of Cleveland. Knock at the Cleveland 44, and a first down. Chip Banks really saves a long gain, but it was a pickup of 16 yards.
And that's exactly what the Steelers have to establish today. Cleveland has fallen off as far as their defense against the rush. Here's one good reason. They don't get any support along the corner. There's number 74. That's Terry Long with a good block. And Ehrenberg up through the middle, usually a guy they go through in passing situations, makes a nice run there.
Jackson and Abercrombie back into the offensive set. It's a first down at the Cleveland 45. Opening drive of the ball game. Louis Lips showing motion. The give off is inside to Abercrombie to the 41. So it'll be a gain of 4. 2nd down and 6 as the inside linebacker Anthony Griggs, and the leading tackler for the Browns this year so far, makes the stop.
Anthony Griggs has gotten a lot of work. Of course, he replaced Tom Cousineau, who was released during the preseason. One of the reasons they've had trouble trying to defend the rush this season is because they have new people in the middle. Ray Ellis is brand new at one of the safety spots. Chris Rockins is new there, and Anthony Griggs, and they have not yet solidified in order to stop the run.
2nd down and 6. Malone gives off to Abercrombie. We'll call it the 37-yard line. That's 4, so it's be 3rd down and still a couple to go for the first down, as Ray Ellis, a strong safety, was there for the Browns.
Abercrombie may have played his finest game as a Steeler a week ago, and the coaching staff and I think everybody is wondering, can he put 2 games back-to-back? He's been injured often enough. He's very quick, but he has not shown the toughness that they wanted from him, taking him in the first round. There, he looks like a tough runner. He gets a field, and again, the spotlight is going to be on Abercrombie today. They want to know if he can put back-to-back big games together.
And he's still bothered by a hip pointer. He comes out. Ehrenberg comes in to join Jackson. And it is Jackson. First down, Pittsburgh. 27-yard line, gain of 10, and a first down as Chris Rockins and Hanford Dixon make the tackle.
Jackson is on a mission. When Buddy Ryan cut him at Philadelphia, he said, trade him for a 6-pack. It doesn't even have to be a cold 6-pack.
Boy, that's a cutting line.
That is a cutting line. And he was released, even though he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. So he does have something to prove. And there he does a nice job, as we said. A tough runner, not a great deal of speed, but anybody who rushes for 1,000 yards twice in this league is a good one.
Louis Lips in motion. And the give is to Ehrenberg. And he crosses the 25. We'll call it the 24. Give him 3. It's going to be 2nd down and 7. Very pleasant afternoon. We expected to see rain, and the clouds have blown away.
2nd down and 7.
Calvin Sweeney goes wide to the far side. Lips is in the slot. Preston Gothard is the tight end on the right side. Very conservative offensive drive. And Jackson is cut down at the 25-yard line. So now it's going to be 3rd down and 8. The ball at the 25 after a loss of 1. Clay Matthews was there to make the play, and that means that Malone will have to go to the air, and Weegee Thompson comes in.
And actually, Terry Long, number 74, his old lineman, knocks him down. Watch this, the pulling guard, number 74, and Jackson just trips right over him. Long slips first,
yes.
And Jackson goes over the top. That's the easiest tackle that a Cleveland defender will ever make.
3rd down conversions, 3rd and 8. In the drive, the Steelers are 2 of 2. Malone to throw. There's time, and the pass is incomplete. He was looking to hit Ehrenberg, just drifting across, but he was way short of the first down. Chris Rockins had picked him up on the coverage. And now it is 4th down and 8, and that means that Gary Anderson comes in with a field goal attempt to come.
Ehrenberg wanted a flag here. Let's see if there's any interference at all. Not really. He turned around and trying to go back to the football, but that was Rockins, number 37, coming across. I don't think that's an interference call at all.
From 43 yards away, Newsome to hold, Anderson with the attempt. And it is no good. It is no good from 43 yards out. And by the way, snapping, it was Mike Webster. We've got a timeout. We have no score. Cleveland and Pittsburgh back in a moment.
Hi, can I have a light?
This Halloween, don't just ask for a light beer. Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light!
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Thank you!
Look for this Fright Night display where you buy Bud Light and win a monster of a trip to one of your favorite haunts.
Next year, a costume party. Oh! Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
It's the rhythm on the road. It's the pulse on the street.
Pulse on the street.
City and town of magic sound.
Feel the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet.
That's today, Chevrolet.
We're MCI, racing hard to be your communications company. We never coast. We're geared to win. MCI competes internationally, offering you the world's most extensive range of voice, data, and messaging services. Our competition is good. We have to be better. And because we compete, you win. MCI, communications for the next 100 years.
In the other games in progress, the only score thus far out of those three, New England a field goal on top of Miami. Like the scores here. And now, these are the games we'll be keeping an eye on this because of Cincinnati and Houston. They are scoreless, as we are here in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Those two games, of course, with these two teams comprising the Central Division race. Cleveland on offense for the first time from their own 25-yard line. Ernest Byner is the remaining back. And Kozar gives to Byner. And he'll pick up about 7 yards. Mark at the 32, and it's going to be 2nd down and 3 as David Little makes the tackle. Kozar with Byner and Curtis Dickey expected to be the other running back. Langhorne, Slaughter, and Newsome are the receivers. At offensive line, Bolden, Farron, Babb, Fike, and Cody Risen. 2nd down and 3 at the Cleveland 32. And we expect to see Cleveland with the same type of offense as we saw from the Steelers. Very conservative, stay on the ground. It's going to be a push and shove contest. Ozzie Newsome showing motion. And Kozar ends up with the first down at the 36.
And that's a fumble that Cleveland fans have bad thoughts about right in this stadium a while ago, a year ago. As a matter of fact, a fumble was a key element in continuing that losing streak. There you see the ball pops up. A bad exchange between the center, Mike Babb, and Bernie Kozar. But had he played, he gets the first down anyway. At least very close to it.
They're going to bring the change out for the measure. Last year he was in a shotgun, as I recall, and turned around because of the crowd noise. The crowd was so into the ballgame. And he wanted to call a timeout, and meanwhile the ball was snapped, and all kinds of interesting things pursued.
Right deep in his own territory. It wound up with a poor punt after that, and the Steelers came back, scored a touchdown. They wind up winning the football game.
First down for Cleveland. So the scramble works out this time for the Browns. And let's look at the defense of the Steelers with Willis, Dunn, and Nelson showing as the front three. Merriweather, Little, Cole, and Hinkle the linebackers. Sheffield and Clayton on the corners, Shell and Williams at the safeties. Now spotted at the 35, so a first down at the 35-yard line. No score between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. With 7.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Byner the remaining back, and Kozar to throw. Has good protection, scrambles a bit, and it is is intercepted by Chris Sheffield. That is his first interception. A flag is down. And Sheffield is down. The rookie free agent out of Albany State. The penalty will be on Keith Willis of the Steelers, and that will nullify the interception. Dick Jorgensen is the referee.
Offsides, number 93, defense, lined up in the neutral zone. Still first down.
Well, that's a terrible mistake.
Well, it is. Well, it's a terrible mistake for Willis. Kozar had gone 131 throws without tossing an interception before this, and now, of course, he takes it back because of the penalty. But he's been very, very careful not to get the Browns into a big mistake with a bad throw there. Early in the contest with his own defense, he threw it right to Sheffield, right in his hands.
He was looking for Fontenot. 1st and 5 at the 40-yard line. So a break for the Browns. And here comes Byner with another flag down. He has the first down at the play stands. Robin Cole stops him at the Pittsburgh 49-yard line.
It is vitally important for the Browns to establish a running game.
Lined up in the neutral zone.
This time it was Mike Merriweather lining up in the neutral zone.
Let's take a look at that run one more time. I said Byner, it's important for them to establish the running game. A trap coming from the inside. Nice blocking. He follows it well and straight up the middle. A good block against David Little, number 50, getting knocked down. But if they cannot establish a running attack, the Steelers are just going to try to eat Bernie Kosar up with the blitz all afternoon. So the running game is vitally important to them this afternoon.
Running backs are Byner and Dickey. First down at the Pittsburgh 49. That's Langhorne in motion. And here's Curtis Dickey. And he will lean to about the 46-yard line. We'll give him 3. It's going to be 2nd down and 7 as David Little led the Pittsburgh defensive charge. Curtis Dickey, the 5th player selected overall. That was back in 1980 out of Texas A&M. And in addition to his football skills, quite a speedster in the NCAA.
Yeah, he was
indoor
quite
sprint
right.
titles, yes.
And cut by the Colts last year, kind of a surprise to many people. He does have a lot of ability. He has not displayed it thus far this season. He is finally getting an opportunity with the injury to Mack.
2nd down and 6. They'll call it the 47-yard line, and Kosar to throw. As pressure, steps forward, drops it off into the right flat to Byner. And Byner goes out of bounds at the 35-yard line. So he rambles for 12 on the play. Sheffield was chasing him, and he picks up the first down. So it hasn't been a thing of beauty, but the Browns have moved from their own 25 to the Steelers' 35-yard line.
Let's take a look at Donnie Shell there, the strong safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He simply has to sit back there, wait on the football, and he comes up and makes the tackle on Byner, at least gets involved in it toward the end of the play. But Donnie Shell, one of the best to ever play this game, the leading active interceptor in the NFL.
First down at the 35-yard line. Byner and Dickey, the running backs. Play action fake to Dickey, and Byner drops it. Pass is incomplete. It's going to be 2nd down and 10 at the 35-yard line.
And that's the type of thing Cleveland's going to try to do all day long, try to get Kosar out of the pocket when they want to throw the football. As I said, the Steelers' game plan today, blitz Bernie Kosar as much as possible.
Marty Schottenheimer, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And he had an interesting note on the blackboard in the locker room. They had the times you go out and all that, and then it said 1 o'clock, street fight. And that's the way this game is usually described when the Steelers and the Browns hook it up. And here's Byner. And the Steelers are there. We'll give him 2 to the 33. It's going to be 3rd down and 8. I'm surprised on a 2nd and 10. Darrell Sims and David Little with the tackle, but the Browns are just going to run right at the Steelers.
Well, they are going to run, and when they throw the ball, they've gotten to a pattern where they're throwing the shorter routes. Lindy Infante, the new offensive coordinator here, in fact, there's been 5 in the past 5 or 6 years, so another new offensive strategy for Bernie Kosar to try to comprehend. But they've thrown 24 passes to Ernest Byner, and to the wide receivers, just 20 catches throughout the first 4 games.
3rd down and 8. And the crowd now gets into the ballgame. The remaining back, and Kosar is going to take a timeout. Not because of the crowd noise, but because of an indecision. We've got a timeout. We'll be back with no score.
When we want to work up a sweat, nothing works like this full-size Chevy pickup. It's got the muscle of a fuel-injected 350 V8. And it's available in every full-size Chevy. It's got the strength of girder main front suspension. Where? Oh, there. Plus, double-wall construction. So, when you need a tough-working partner, nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing. Yeah? Yeah. Right?
You know, the weirdest things happened to me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I mean, here I am stocking up for Halloween. I got my steaks, got my ribs. Then when I asked the stock boy where the Coors Light is at, he points me to the Coors and Coors Light Halloween display, and I'm on it. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Look for it where you buy beer. I shop here because they slash prices. There goes another one. Happy Halloween, darling.
When the big Q flows, America goes.
You the Mr. Bailey that's selling the car?
You buying?
Depends. How's it run?
Great. Always on Quaker State.
That's good.
Quaker State means performance. You can depend on quality.
I've heard that.
One-of-a-kind formula. Stable viscosity. Keeps flowing. Protecting.
You sold me.
The car?
And the oil.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
The distinguished-looking but worried man is Art Modell, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, and he, like everybody else, tried to break the jinx for Cleveland. Usually he drives up the morning of the game, but this morning
he flew off. He flew off from Cleveland. They're going to try
And I'll guarantee he's in a different seat than he was last year, so he'll at least move over one.
That's right. But you know what the Rooney family will tell the Modells? You know, through this whole thing, the players have changed over the 16 years. You're the only one that's been the common denominator.
Somebody suggested that perhaps he stay home and watch it on television. 3rd down and 8. Bouchard with pressure, and it is incomplete. So it's going to be 4th down and 8. Webster Slaughter, the intended receiver.
Again, that short passing attack of the Browns are going to try and do that most of the afternoon.
Jeff Gossett is in the hole as we'll check the scores. England by 3, Kansas City with a field goal over the Raiders. Chicago scoreless, St. Louis with a field goal over the Giants. Scoreless in the other 2 games. A 50-yard field goal attempt by Matt Barr. Originally with Pittsburgh. 50 yards away, and the lead. And it is no good, off to the left. So Anderson has missed from 43 for Pittsburgh. And Barr has missed from 50, and we are still scoreless.
Who has transformed video cameras, making them more compact, simpler, more colorful, more fun? Who? RCA, with the new Pro Wonder camcorder, the camera and recorder that uses standard VHS cassettes plus solid-state technology for brighter, more colorful memories. Pro Wonder. If you settle for less than RCA, that's exactly what you'll get.
The American dream is one of hope and possibilities. We're GMAC, people who help make dreams come true. First, we made automobile financing easy. Now, home mortgages, financing for a boat, even MIC insurance to keep your dreams safe. We're the financial services people from General Motors. GMAC, official sponsor of America's dreams.
Time to play! McDonald's NFL! Kickoff payoff! Oh, boy! You collect these cards of your favorite NFL stars. Oh, like him?
Every kickoff payoff card is a winner. Win great McDonald's food prizes.
Winning cards must be redeemed by the following week.
So hurry into McDonald's.
New winners every week at McDonald's!
Rub off your kickoff payoff coupon and win great McDonald's food prizes. Then hurry back to redeem your coupon and collect more. NFL kickoff payoff. Every card's a winner.
Grandpa had the spirit of a young boy. Marky just wanted to give him a body to match.
Monday.
4 minutes and 58 seconds. That is the time remaining in a very fast-moving, scoreless first quarter. This is Charlie Jones along with Jimmy Cephalo. The Steelers now on offense for the second time in the ballgame from their own 33-yard line, first down. 2 missed field goal attempts, and that's been the early story of this outing. Malone, a little play action fake. All the time in the world, the pass is complete. Calvin Sweeney pulls it in and has the first down. Gain of 13 yards on the play. Anthony Green, that was not Sweeney. That was the tight end, Preston Gothard. Gothard with only his 3rd reception of the season. A free agent out of Alabama in his 2nd year.
And Gothard is usually the guy they like to block and not catch the football. Here he comes all the way across the field, forcing Griggs to cover him. And that's always a mismatch anytime you have a big middle linebacker trying to cover a tight end.
The ball at the Pittsburgh 46-yard line after the pickup of 13. And a first down, and Lewis Lips comes in motion. And the give is to Rich Ehrenberg. Ehrenberg to the 47-yard line, we'll call it. So it's going to be 2nd down and 9. And Bob Golick, the nose tackle, is the man who stopped him. And number 31 is Frank Minifield, who is the player shaken up. And Minifield staying in the ballgame for Cleveland. David Hughes in the backfield for the Steelers. Hughes signed this year as a free agent. His previous 5 seasons with the Seattle Seahawks. And used primarily in 2nd and long and 3rd and passing situations. Play action fake going deep to Lewis Lips. Has position, good defensive play, and an interception for the Cleveland Browns. And it is Frank Minifield who came up sucking for air a moment ago. And they went right after Minifield had recovered and has the interception.
And you got to give Minifield more than enough credit for this. Coming off the injury, he still has enough presence of mind to come back and make the big play against Lewis Lips. Now, this is anybody's ball. When you get into this position, a quarterback likes to think, I've got a 50-50 shot. They go up, and Minifield surprisingly out-jumps Lips.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
It's the rhythm on the road. It's the pulse on the street.
Pulse on the street.
City and town of magic sound.
Feel the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet.
That's the day of Chevrolet.
You want personal service, and State Farm is there.
I'm State Farm Agent John Monson. Anybody can sell you insurance, but backing it up with service is what really counts. When my customers need any help with their auto, home, life, or health insurance, or they have a claim, they come right to me. State Farm agents don't hide from you after you buy the policy.
And like a good neighbor,
We're there, backing it with service.
State Farm is there.
You've heard about the people of Manville and their goal to be America's best supplier. Best supplier of what? Good question. Best supplier of products like extremely efficient industrial lighting fixtures and highly advanced insulation for some very special applications. Packaging, too. All kinds of wrappers and cartons and carriers. 21,000 people with one goal. To be America's best supplier of products like these. That's Manville.
Searching here for predictions and there for analysis? Oh, the dilemma of choosing the right pregame show. We at NBC Sports suggest you give as much thought to choosing a pregame show as you did when saying, I do. Possibly more. NFL 86, the one you'll choose.
This is Charlie Jones, Jimmy Cephalo. Cleveland with their 2nd opportunity in offense, this time from their own 15-yard line. Fontenot and Byner are the 2 running backs. And Byner gets the call. He goes out at the 19-yard line, has 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Defensively, Harvey Clayton was there. Be sure to join us on Saturday evening, October the 18th. That's 2 weeks from last night. It'll be the opening of the Fall Classic as NBC Sports proudly presents the 83rd World Series. Baseball's great moments were first televised, as most of you know, on NBC, and our long tradition continues as the National League champions host the American League champions in Game 1. The World Series is back home on NBC. No score here between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. It is 2nd down and 6. The Cleveland Browns control in their own territory, and Bernie Kosar to throw. Goes deep. He airs this one out. Has a man there. Oh! And pass interference is going to be called.
Very little question about that.
Harvey Clayton.
Harvey Clayton can do it.
He saved the touchdown, though, because Webster Slaughter, the rookie out of San Diego State, did have a step on it.
But nothing makes a receiver matter is to play the game and play it right. You get open, you beat the guy, and then he tackles you from behind. I mean, there's no question about that. Everybody and their sisters have gone after Clayton this year. He's had a poor season. A week ago, he came back to play well against Houston. But you can bet your bottom dollar that this afternoon, Kosar and Slaughter are going against them.
Penalty of 53 yards. And the ball at the 28-yard line. And a first down is Steeler territory. And as a receiver, Jimmy, I know that you hate it.
Oh, I hate it. Oh, come back and say, hey, if you want to play the game, play it right. But it's, yeah, right.
In soccer, they call it the professional foul. Nobody likes it. A little play action fake. There's pressure. He gets the pass off. Byner stumbles, stays on his feet, and still manages to get to the 23. All that in a gain of 5. Robin Cole was there for the defense. It'll be 2nd down and 5. And Slaughter did look good getting open on the play behind Harvey Clayton. But like you said, everybody's been running at Clayton. It's just as if they want to save him until they need him. Other scores. New England, look at this. Miami always has a problem winning at New England. Kansas City in front of the Raiders, 10-0. Chicago scoreless against the Vikings. 2nd down and 5. Brennan in motion. Here's Fontenot. Fontenot has the first down as he goes to the 15-yard line, picks up 8. Robin Cole with the tackle. Let's go back to the other games in progress. St. Louis out in front of the Giants. Washington leading New Orleans. Atlanta, Philadelphia scoreless. Green Bay leading Cincinnati, and Houston leading Detroit. And here it is Cleveland 0 and Pittsburgh 0. A pair of missed field goals. Matt Barr for the Browns missing from 50. Gary Anderson from Pittsburgh missing from 43. And Cleveland with a threat underway at the Steelers' 15-yard line. Langhorne in motion. Kosar looking to Langhorne. Goes back into the end zone for the touchdown. He goes to Webster Slaughter, who beat Chris Sheffield. And the Browns are on the board.
And a little bit of an extra spike by Slaughter. That's just to tell the defensive back there. Mr. Modell's going to stand up and he's going to applaud that one. And everything else this afternoon that Cleveland does well. Nice throw by Kosar. But I think Slaughter put a little bit extra effort into that spike down there just to say how much he disliked that little professional foul a few minutes ago against Clayton.
Matt Barr to attempt the extra point. And it is good, and the Cleveland Browns are out in front of the Steelers by a score of 7-0.
These are special children, and this is a special place here in Cleveland. It's a unique United Way supported hospital devoted to helping children with chronic medical conditions. Hi, I'm Bob Golick of the Cleveland Browns, and this is my wife, Jackie.
And this is Health Hill Hospital. It's funded by the United Way here in Cleveland.
This is Christina. She's lucky to be alive today. She was born with several chronic medical problems that kept her in hospitals for most of her young life.
When Brian was born with a narrowing of the esophagus, surgery was the only hope. There were 4 operations, and even when the operations were successful in creating a new esophagus for Brian, then he had to learn to eat for the first time. The children here at Health Hill are great. Despite their problems, they just don't quit. Thanks to your help and support through the United Way, they're going to make it.
So we can all say thanks.
Because thanks to you, it works. For all of us, the United Way.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
All right, Slaughter and Sheffield. Now, this is a little bump and run coverage by number 41, Sheffield. He does a good job. But Slaughter wants to get inside, and the mistake that Sheffield makes is that he turns his back momentarily, and it's a perfect throw by Kosar. He drills it, a little bit of touch over the top, and that's a tough play to defend.
And for Webster Slaughter, that is his first NFL touchdown, celebrated by Art Modell.
And breathing a little easier up in the box.
And now Cleveland will be kicking off to the Steelers with Chuck Sanders, number 45, and Donnie Elder, number 37, set for the return. Matt Barr to kick off. And Donnie Elder from the goal line. Elder to the 20. Fumbles the ball. There's a scramble for it, but the play may have been blown dead. Cleveland is saying that they have the ball. And let's see what the officials say. Officials may rule the same way. And the conference is going to be held. There's obviously a pulling match underneath.
Miller taking the kickoff, stopped by Fontenot.
And it is the Cleveland Browns football.
Let's take a look at the end of that play and see exactly what happened to Elder. See if somebody tries to get an arm in there and knock it out. It is number 87. That's Tucker knocking the ball out. There you see it on the ground. No question about the fumble. And a host of Cleveland Browns dive on it down the bottom. And even, look at that, there's Barr number 9 coming. He was part of that, too.
He was covering the top of the pile is what he was doing. Okay, a major break for the Cleveland Browns. The ball at the Steelers' 22-yard line, first down. Cleveland leading 7-0. Now with 1:59 left to go in the first quarter, Kozar, with all the time in the world, has to drop it off underneath the coverage. The pass is complete to Ozzie Newsome. Robin Cole makes a tackle, and Ozzie Newsome now continues his consecutive streak. That is his 103rd reception, and he is tied with Alfred Jenkins for 5th place on the all-time list. And of course, tomorrow night a new record will be set on the all-time list, as we expect it to be set, as Steve Largent, the game against San Diego, his first reception will move him to 128 games. They've got a big celebration. They've got a special presentation for him. They won't tell anybody what it is, but they say that it's a very personal thing to Steve. So anyway, looking forward to that. Now let's get back to this game. First down at the 10-yard line. Here's Byner. Makes a good move at the 6, but he is stopped at the 5-yard line, so it's going to be second down. Eric Williams is the man who made the tackle.
Stopped by Shell and Williams.
And Gary Dunn, the fine nose tackle for Pittsburgh, number 67 in the middle. See, he's rolled out of there, double team. Babb gets a nice block, opening the hole for Byner, who gets very close to the 5-yard line.
Second down and 5. The ball just outside of the 5. Possible to pick up a first down with not going in. There's about a foot difference right at the goal line. Kozar to throw. And it is there, but incomplete. Reggie Langhorne, the intended receiver. Donnie Shell is the man that he got away from, so it's going to be third down and 5. And it was just outside of his fingertips.
Yeah, and Kozar is being pressured by number 93, Keith Willis there, and it forces him to put a little too much on the football. And Reggie Langhorne, number 88, just misses.
Is that catchable? Is that as a receiver? Is that
no,
a catchable?
That is not a catchable ball. He laid out for that as much as possible, and that's not a catchable football. But you know what? He'll go in on Tuesday morning, and the Brown staff will give him a drop on the play. That's for certain.
They look at it differently.
They do. Different perspective.
Third down and 5. Byner, the remaining back. Timing pattern into the far corner, and it is incomplete. Langhorne again. He could not get away from Donnie Elder. Elder with good coverage on it.
It was good coverage. It seemed they got tangled up right around the goal line, and Elder at the end of the play gives him a little slap on the back of the helmet saying, well, come back, because I'm going to enjoy playing again. And that's that psychological battle that goes along. The Cleveland Browns secondary has been accused of doing a lot of talking across the line of scrimmage, and that you see a little bit starting already by Elder.
And here is Matt Barr with his second field goal attempt. This one will be from the 12, an attempt to 22 yards. It's just a little chip shot, and he has got this one from 22 yards away. So they cash in on the fumble recovery, and the Cleveland Browns now lead the Steelers by a score of 10-0. We have only 58 seconds left to go in the first quarter. And offensively, the Steelers looked pretty good on that first drive. And that ended up with their missed field goal.
Yeah, they've been a comatose team offensively through the first 4 football games, though they've only scored 2 touchdowns rushing and 2 touchdowns throwing the football, and you're not going to win very many games in this league doing that. And now with Cleveland coming out and scoring 10 quick points in the first quarter, you've got to wonder what Chuck Noll is thinking, whether or not they're going to try to put a little bit more zip into their offense. Of course they're going to try, but are they going to accomplish it or not?
One of the deep backs for the Pittsburgh Steelers on the far side is number 45, Chuck Sanders, a free agent out of Slippery Rock. And one of his stories today, I alluded to right at the beginning of the game, and there he is that he is one of the co-captains. And the reason being is that last week he got the highest grade on the special teams. So he made one of the co-captains. He said, this is like a dream come true. They said, what are you going to do? And he said, so you going to say anything? He says, no, I'm going to stand right behind Mike Webster. That's exactly what he did when they went out for the toss of the coin.
That's a smart idea.
But what a neat day for this young man. He is the only Steeler player born in the city of Pittsburgh. And here we go with Matt Barr kicking off for the Cleveland Browns. Browns on top by a score of 10-0. And Donnie Elder takes it deep and runs it out of the back edge of the end zone for the touchback. So Pittsburgh will bring it out to the 20-yard line where they'll go to work. And let's check in on the games in progress in the National Football League. New England leading Miami by a score of 10-0. Kansas City still in front of the Raiders, 10-0. Chicago and Minnesota scoreless. That's an interesting game. We'll be keeping an eye on that one. The Giants trail, Washington leads, and no score, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Louis Lips comes in motion. And Ehrenberg gets the call to the 26-yard line. Gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Bob Golick and Chris Rockins. Now let's go back to the other 2 games in progress involving teams in the Central Division. Green Bay leading Cincinnati and Houston leading Detroit. Of course, everything very snug in the Central. Cleveland and Cincinnati both with 2-2 records. Pittsburgh and Houston with identical 1-3 records. 2nd and 4. Malone over the middle. The pass is complete to David Hughes. And Hughes moves forward to the 33-yard line. And it'll be a 1st down. And for those of you who joined us late and have not heard, the Cleveland Browns have never won here in Three River Stadium. They are 0 for 16. But they lead by a score of 10-0 as the gun sounds. We have the first quarter in the book. We'll be back in just a moment.
Still 2nd down.
2nd down and 10. The ball back at the 33-yard line.
Mark Malone has the lowest rating of any NFL quarterback at 31.6. And with only 40% of his passes completed, he's heard the boost quite often here at Three Rivers during the first few games.
Calvin Sweeney in motion. Here comes the blitz. Malone slips it, gets the pass off. Good play, tip to the air, and it is incomplete. But Eddie Johnson was right behind Mark Malone. He was lucky to get that one off.
He was, came right up the gut. Nobody touched Johnson on the play. Had an open shot to Malone. Malone did a nice job of scrambling around and getting the ball off, but then nearly made the big mistake of throwing the interception. There he is. You see him, number 51, Eddie Johnson, a clear shot. Malone's a good athlete, makes a nice play to get away from it, but then makes the mistake throwing back against the grain, which is always dangerous, and nearly an interception.
3rd down conversions, 2 of 3 for the Steelers. And this one's a long one, 3rd down and 10. 3 of 6 for Malone. And 1 interception, that by Frank Minifield. Rich Ehrenberg. 1st down. Gain of 15.
And I have no idea what happened to the entire force people for the Cleveland Browns. Nobody was on that corner. Ehrenberg could have walked for 10 of those 15 yards. Let's take a look at it. Watch this. He's coming around the corner following his blockers. His blockers have nobody to take care of. You know, they're looking around saying, wait, who are we going to block here? Number 79, John Reesher says, hey. And then he gets surprised running around the corner. Reesher didn't have anybody to block whatsoever. A 15-yard gain.
And it's a 1st down at the Steeler 48-yard line. Ehrenberg right side. And this time he is spun down after crossing the 50. We'll mark it at the Cleveland 48-yard line. We'll give him 4. It's 2nd down and 6. Ray Ellis, along with Eddie Johnson, make the tackle for the Cleveland Browns. Browns on top by a score of 10-0 with 13 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the first half.
And Ray Ellis, of course, another cast off of the man in Philadelphia, Buddy Ryan, who's coming in and starting for another NFL club just a few weeks after being released.
They spot it at the 49-yard line, 2nd down. And here's Ehrenberg. Ehrenberg getting a workout. Abercrombie still on the sideline to the 45-yard line, so that's 4. 3rd down is still a couple to go. Ray Ellis and Eddie Johnson with the tackle.
Let's take a look at this collision. Now, you know, when you say, hey, I'd like to be an NFL football player, this is what got me to retire and sit in the booth next to you, Charlie, for a while. Take a look at this. Boom, 24 versus 24. Ray Ellis versus Rich Ehrenberg, and that's enough to make anybody retire.
Walter Abercrombie comes back into the game. Steelers have converted on 3 of 4 3rd down opportunities. This is 3rd down and 2. And it is David Hughes. And Hughes is cut down at the 45-yard line by Eddie Johnson for no gain. So a good defensive play by Eddie Hughes out of Louisville in his 6th year in the National Football League.
And one of the most underrated linebackers on this crew. When you have names like Chip Banks and Clay Matthews, and they had Kuzno for all those years, Eddie Johnson's been the most consistent, averaging 10 tackles over the past few years.
And here is the kick with Gerald McNeil. And he's going to signal a fair catch and step away. The ball takes a Steelers bounce. They cannot down him before it gets into the end zone. So the Steelers had the opportunity, but Chuck Sanders could not get there in time. And it will go on the books as a 45-yard kick. A touchback will bring it out to the 20. We've got a timeout. Back in a moment. Browns lead it 10-0.
When all the dust has settled, the testing's completed, the review's written. The only real competition for this BMW are these BMWs.
I like your thinking. It's a solution we've been searching for. Well, we've included networking, multi-user systems, as well as PC-compatible workstations and software. And I like your installation, support, training, service. Radio Shack computer centers have it all. I know we can do business.
Tandy Computers at Radio Shack Computer Centers. In business, for business.
Oh! Just like that, this AC copper core spark plug can fire 30 times. That's the firepower today's high-revving car engines need. What about your plugs? If they can't fire for up to 30,000 miles, oh! Maybe you're missing out on peak performance. For the AC Delco retailer nearest you, just give me a call at 1-800-AC-DELCO. Wait for trouble, and you've got it.
Today's game is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, phone your nearest BMW dealer. By McDonald's, it's a good time for the great taste. And by New York Life, to help you get the most out of life.
This is Charlie Jones along with Jimmy Cephalo. Let me correct myself. I said Eddie Hughes made the play for the Browns, but Eddie Johnson, of course, the linebacker. He is really having a good year.
He is. Well, a good few years. As I said, averaging 10 tackles per game since 1984. Doesn't get enough credit in my book.
The Browns on offense, first down from their own 20-yard line, and there is anticipation by Dennis Winston, who just came in on defense, replacing David Little, trying to guess the snap count.
A good quarterback will do that to you, though. Kozar is that type of a heady player who will alter his counts, maybe change his inflection at the line of scrimmage to try to get a linebacker who he knows is going to be blitzing from the other side of the line to jump a little bit too early.
In penalties, Pittsburgh 68 yards, 4 times for 68. The Browns have not been penalized. Kozar has completed 4 of 8. He gives his time to Fontenot. Fontenot just a couple of yards to the 27. It was 1st and 5, though, so it's going to be 2nd down and 3. Brian Hinkle, leading tackler for the Steelers, is the man who brought him down. Other games in progress. We had a glimpse of them, and there they are for sure. New England, there's another jinx just like the one here. Kansas City, look at that in front of the Raiders. Kansas, maybe the Chiefs are for real. Chicago leading Minnesota now 7-0. That was expected. Took them a while to get there. Kansas City may be the surprise team in the West.
Well, they
Good
may
defense.
be. They've had trouble at the quarterback spot. Todd Blackledge has not had a fine season thus far.
Kozar's pass to Byner. Byner, the leading receiver thus far in the ball game for the Browns. Also their leading rusher, Robin Cole, makes a tackle.
And speaking of Todd Blackledge, of course, his father, Ron Blackledge, the offensive line coach here in Pittsburgh for the Steelers.
That's right. Giants trailed in the 2nd quarter. Washington on New Orleans with a field goal. Atlanta and Philadelphia still scoreless. Cincinnati has tied it up with Green Bay. And Detroit leads Houston 7-3. Those games, particularly Cincinnati and Houston, of interest to Steeler and Browns fans. And it's a 1st down here at the 31-yard line with Cleveland leading Pittsburgh in a score of 10-0. We're moving on the 10-minute mark of the time remaining in the 2nd quarter. It is Byner again. Mark this one for no gain. 2nd down and 10. Keith Gary and Edmund Nelson make the tackle for the Steelers.
And with a lead of 10 points here in the beginning moments of the 2nd quarter, Cleveland's going to be content to try to reestablish that running game. They had some success early on in the 1st quarter. Go to the short passing from Bernie Kosar. They've done that all year long. But they're also an offense that has not been very successful in the early goings this season. Now with 10 points in the 1st quarter, it's a confidence builder for Kosar. Let's see if he can extend by throwing those short passes for a higher percentage.
One thing that Cleveland has done, they've taken the Pittsburgh crowd out of the ballgame, at least at this point. Just a little shovel pass to Byner, saving the sack. And a pickup of 5 yards to the 36 is going to be 3rd down and 5, where Winston makes the tackle. Now for an update, let's go to New York.
Charlie, playing at home, the Chiefs have a 17-0 lead in the 2nd quarter against the Raiders. 10 of Kansas City's points set up by Los Angeles turnovers, including this 18-yard run by Boyce Green in the 1st quarter following a Mark Wilson fumble. 17-0 Chiefs.
Thank you, Bob. Not only Kansas City strong, but the Raiders, they have a multitude of problems, and they're finding even more as the season progresses. Here's the draw inside to Byner, and he slides to the 41, where they're going to mark it down to the 39. Gain of 3, so it's going to be 4th down and a couple. And that means that Jeff Gossett will come in to punt. Keith Gary was there for the defense. Marty Schottenheimer, the head coach of the Browns. And there's Gossett with a 42.1-yard average coming into the game. And Rick Woods is set for the return. He's never had a punt block. And Woods, he broke that 41-yarder in overtime that set up the winning touchdown last week.
And he's playing with a fractured thumb. That's very difficult to catch a punt with that type of an injury.
He's not going to have to bother with this one. This is a dead shank right. Oh, Jeff Gossett. They're going to mark it out at the Cleveland 48-yard line.
Let's see his reaction after he gets the punt off. This just slides off the right side of his foot. No pressure whatsoever. And Gossett knew it immediately as soon as it was released.
A punt of 9 yards.
You know, Jerry, sometimes I take you for granted. You're a terrific husband.
Jeff Gossett of only 9 yards. Let's see if they can cash in. Here's Lewis Lips. And they'll end up losing yardage. Oh, they'll lose 7 or 8 yards on the play. And here's a reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player of today's game at the conclusion, as Sam Clancy made that last play. Mark Malone has completed 3 of 6 for 26, and let's go back.
All right, a little bit of the tomfoolery doesn't work here. The handoff back to Lips, who's suffering from some hamstring problems today. You have to wonder, is he 100%? He does not get around the corner. Eddie Johnson, number 51, came along to turn him back outside. Once again, Eddie Johnson with a big play.
2nd down and 17 after the loss of 7. Malone to throw. There's pressure from the outside. Pass is complete, incomplete. Ehrenberg had it, did not have possession as he was hit immediately, and guess who it was? Number 51, Eddie Johnson, who's having an excellent game.
He does it week in and week out. He's a very consistent player. Ehrenberg, they like him as a receiver out of the backfield. He's considered a spot player, of course, playing more today because of the injury to Abercrombie, but he just plain drops this. He knew he was going to get drilled by Johnson, and that's getting drilled. That's the second time that Ehrenberg has been hit very hard this afternoon. The life of a running back in the NFL, you can have it.
Ehrenberg, the leading rusher for the Steelers, with 46 yards and 7 carries. This is 3rd down 17, and David Hughes comes in. Sweeney in motion. And here's the screen, and it is complete to David Hughes. Hughes needs 3 more yards. He got one of them. He's going to go just a couple of yards shy as Chris Rockins makes the tackle at the Cleveland 40. It'll be 4th down and 2, and the crowd wants the Steelers to go for it. But no, Harry Newsom will come in to kick. Then you have to punt it.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's
don't let your emotions
3.
run away with 6.5 minutes to go in the first half.
That's absolutely right. And the boos have been here. It's an unfamiliar sound to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, they've been winners for all these years now. Last season, their first losing season since '69. They were 7-9 a year ago. This year, off to their poor start in 15 years. And the crowd wants them to go for everything. And Chuck Noll has just to say, well, I'm going to make the decisions as I see fit.
Going for the corner. Not get it. Misses just by a couple of yards. And so the ball will come out to the 20-yard line, where Cleveland will be moving on offense with 6 minutes and 9 seconds left to go, first half. Cleveland leads 10-0.
If you want to risk driving on your old antifreeze another year, you ought to know what you might be getting yourself into. Driving just 10,000 miles on weak, neglected antifreeze can cause freeze-up and make a radiator look this bad, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. So for maximum protection, don't push your luck. Change it once a year, every year, with fresh Prestone. And don't you be left out in the cold.
Panasonic, the future of office automation. Advanced equipment with an extraordinary concept. The easier, the better. Panasonic Genesis copiers are most sophisticated yet simplest to use ever. So easy, they automatically adjust for proper size and exposure. All you duplicate are your copies, not your efforts. Panasonic Genesis copiers. Like our typewriters, computers, and peripherals, the easier, the better. Panasonic Office Automation.
You know, the weirdest things happened to me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I mean, here I am stocking up for Halloween. I got my steaks, got my ribs. Then when I asked the stock boy where the Coors Light is stacked, he points me to the Coors and Coors Light Halloween display, and I'm on it. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Look for it where you buy beer. I shop here because they slash prices. There goes another one. Happy Halloween, darling.
Next Sunday, the NFL plays here when the New York Jets battle the AFC champion New England Patriots.
Then doubleheader action continues on NBC
when the Seattle Seahawks battle the Los Angeles Raiders.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL 86.
Marty Schottenheimer, the head coach of Cleveland, went to school at Pittsburgh and was in the Steelers camp for a couple of weeks. Chuck Noll, the head coach of Pittsburgh, was born in Cleveland and, of course, played for the Browns for 7 years under Paul Brown.
An interesting connection. Yep. They are very good friends off the field.
Ernest Byner. No gain. 2nd down and 10. Harvey Clayton with the tackle as we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WKYC TV3 in Cleveland.
This is Charlie Jones, Jimmy Cephalo, Three Rivers Stadium. It is Cleveland 10, Pittsburgh nothing. Cleveland has never won here in Three Rivers Stadium in 16 years. Cozart a slaughter pass for 15 yards, capping an 85-yard drive. That was a touchdown. And for Webster Slaughter, the number 2 draft choice out of San Diego State, his first NFL touchdown. And then Matt Barr with 22-yard field goal going deep. Incomplete. ever so close to Gerald McNeil at 5'7", 146 pounds. One of the little men that they talked about in the pregame show. Let's take another look at the end of that play.
Remember when we talked about drops before, Charlie?
Yes.
I think Kozar's going to give him a drop on this one. You can't throw that any better. See, if it hits you full flat in the hand as a receiver, you have to bring it in. The other one we talked about earlier when Slaughter dove for the ball in the corner of the end zone was not a drop. But McNeil with so much speed, he'll play in the league a couple of years longer, and he'll catch those balls by laying out and making sure the catch for getting the touchdown. Just get the big gainer.
At 146 pounds, the lightest running back, lightest man actually in the NFL. They call him the Ice Cube. Fits inside the refrigerator, of course. That one just slipped away. Was it intercepted? Edmund Nelson. The Steelers have the break they need to get back in the game.
Now, this is an interesting call. It's either an interception or a fumble recovery. I'm not sure which. It depends on whether Kozar's arm was moving back or whether it was moving forward. If it starts to move forward at all, then of course it is a pass, and he would have had to catch the ball on the fly for the interception.
No, they're calling it a fumble.
That's right. It was still moving backwards. That is a fumble. They did not have to catch that ball flat in the air. And there you see Nelson covering it up for a fumble recovery and not an interception.
So the ball is at the 10-yard line of Cleveland. Pittsburgh with the big opportunity. First down. Ehrenberg and Jackson are the running back. Lips comes in motion. The spin, they give inside to Ernest Jackson. And he simply plows to the 5-yard line. It's going to be second down and 5. Camp and Johnson were there for the defense.
The Steelers, with the problems they've been having with their offensive strategy and execution for the first 4 weeks of the season, have to capitalize. They need 7 points here if they're going to get back into the football game here in the second quarter. 3 points with this kind of an opportunity just is not going to cut it if they're going to go by what their offense has done for them over the first part of this season.
Leading for the goal line is Ernest Jackson, and he is turned away just inches away. It's going to be third down with Eddie Johnson and Chip Banks making the tackle.
All right, here's Jackson coming right into your living room. He can get the first down inside the 1-yard line. Let's take a look at it. Number 56, Banks, with the tackle. And making sure that he doesn't get in, and once again, is Eddie Johnson.
Third down and just inches. Touchdown for Mark Malone. He just needed a couple of inches with the football, and he got it. So the Steelers are back in the ballgame. Malone, our man. Well, it's been a lonely season for Mark Malone.
That must be a family member up there. He's not a popular man in Pittsburgh his first 4 weeks.
Extra point attempt is up, and it is good. And the Steelers have now pulled within 3 of the Cleveland Browns, capitalizing on Bernie Kozar's fumble.
Just straight over the top, as you said, Charlie. They needed just a couple of inches. The ball breaks the plane, and that's very close. But when he only needed 2 inches, they give him the touchdown.
And for Mark Malone, that is his first touchdown of the year. And I'm drawn back to last week. Like you mentioned earlier, it wasn't a pretty day, but Malone got it done.
Well, that's what's important about it. When you have a quarterback who, he's never going to throw for 400 yards a game consistently, but if he's going to win football games for him, that's the question that needs to be answered for the Pittsburgh fans, for Chuck Noll going into the rest of this season and into the draft to next year. They lost David Woodley when he retired prior to the season. Came in with Scott Campbell, who was released a couple of weeks ago to make room for Ernest Jackson. And Brister is the only backup to Malone, and he's only a rookie, so it's Malone or it's nobody at this point.
Today's telecast, presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or the use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the National Football League is prohibited. Gerald McNeil is set to return the kickoff of Gary Anderson. It is high and short, and McNeil takes it at the 7-yard line. He's to the 20, the 25, and is upended at the 26, comes down at the 27-yard line. Dave Edwards is the man who hit it.
The ice cube. He would have needed Rubik's Cube to find out how to put him back together.
Crushed ice, you know, and it goes on and on.
It goes on and on. Let's take a look at the hit. I mean, he's fast and he's quick, which makes it even more difficult with the speed that he gets through the middle of the line.
He got out of the picture, he got so fast.
Yeah, he sure did. He also got dumped straight in his head.
That's melted ice. Anyway, first down, Cleveland at the 27. Browns leading now by 3, 10-7. Kozar has pressure from behind and from the side, and it's sacked at the 19-yard line. Keith Gary got it. And that is the first sack for the Steelers. And the 10th time this year that Kozar has been dropped for a loss.
And this is some play by Keith Gary. Watch him. He goes right over the blocker and makes the tackle anyway. Straight over the blocker. That was number 74, Paul Farron, who wasn't able to keep Gary away from Kozar.
Second down and 18, a loss of 8. Jumping on the right side, but Ricky Bolden pulled away. They're going to call a false start on the Cleveland Browns, and that'll cost them 5 more. Gary was jumping in and out, and that's what the conference is all about.
Is it encroachment by Gary, or is
Can't be. There wasn't contact. It's got to be against the Browns, or if it's not, we'll have an explanation from the referee. Because once tackle to tackle, you go to the 3 or 4 point stance, you can't move.
Yeah, but if he flinches because the defender takes a swipe at him, then
too bad.
I don't know if I'd agree with that.
Well, you got to be flinch proof.
Yeah, right. Mike Babb looks like he's going to.
False start, number 77, offense.
That's the right call. Takes it back to the 14. So Cleveland all of a sudden in trouble. Now it's going to be second down and 23.
All right, take a look at the top of the screen now. Bolden, number 77, moves. There he goes. He flinches away. What you can't see in that shot is Keith Gary, who took a running start but moved back at the last minute. Bolden says he caught me.
The Steelers have to call a time. They have too many men on the field. And so Keith Willis was hurrying on. They started counting, and they said, oops, we have 12. And Willis headed for the sideline. They turned and stopped the clock with a timeout. Now, let's go to the 10-minute ticker. New England comfortably in front of Miami, 17-0 in the second quarter. Kansas City by a like score over the Raiders. Chicago has added 3 more. They now lead the Vikings by a score of 10-0 in the second. The Giants and St. Louis are tied 3-3. Washington just by 1 over New Orleans. That's interesting. And Atlanta, they have been such a hot team, still scoreless against the Eagles. Cincinnati leading Green Bay 13-7, and Houston is trailing Detroit 14-10. And here it is Cleveland 10 and Pittsburgh 7, and of course in the AFC Central, Cleveland and Cincinnati going into the action today tied for the lead at 2-2. Pittsburgh and Houston with a record of 1-3 are tied for third place. So once again, it looks as if in the Central Division will not have a wild card, and only
that's for sure.
You think that
the winner may be by default one more time. Divisions go through those problems periodically, and it happens to be the AFC Central's turn to have those difficulties. They seem to just beat each other. They're very close in competition. Many thought that the Cleveland Browns this season would pull away from that pack. They played a fine game last year against the Dolphins, should have won in the playoffs and continued on. And they came into the season with a great deal of optimism, but have not played that well in the first few games.
Second and 23. Pass is complete at the 21-yard line. A fumble, and the Steelers have the ball. Robin Cole.
Reggie Langhorne simply drops this ball. He slips down, had enough room to get a few more yards out of the deal, panicked, and then just dropped the football. Watch him. He slips and says, oops, I can get a couple more yards. Well, he had a little bit of help in losing the football, getting it popped up. Number 55, Dennis Winston, helped him along with that fumble.
And a first down for the Steelers just outside the 21. Sweep right side. Here's Ehrenberg. And he'll be wrapped up at the 20. Give him a yard. And it's going to be 2nd down and 9. And, of course, the Steelers are already within field goal range. Clancy with the last tackle. And that is within range for the tie. And we have 2 minutes and 42 seconds and counting. Time remaining second quarter. Cleveland on top 10-7, but the Browns have been stuttering. Fumble by Langhorne and a previous fumble by Kozar has let the Steelers right back in the game. Inside handoff. Jackson works his way to the corner. It was a long time getting there. And he goes down at the 15. So he has 5. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Clay Matthews had the defensive coverage for the Browns. So the Browns have made this thus far an exciting game, both for Browns fans and Steeler fans.
Well, the turnovers have really hurt them here. And as you said, the Steelers with a big opportunity to get back in the game.
2-minute warning will be given to both benches. We'll take a timeout. The score is Cleveland 10, Pittsburgh 7. We'll be back to Three Rivers Stadium in just a moment.
Time to play! McDonald's NFL! Kickoff payoff! Oh, good! You collect these cards of your favorite NFL stars. Oh, like him?
Every kickoff payoff card is a winner. Win great McDonald's food prizes.
Winning cards must be redeemed by the following week.
So hurry into McDonald's.
New winners every week at McDonald's!
Rub off your kickoff payoff coupon and win great McDonald's food prizes. Then hurry back to redeem your coupon and collect more. NFL kickoff payoff. Every card's a winner.
The BMW 735i is one of those rare luxury sedans engineered by driving enthusiasts. While other luxury sedans announce to the world you've arrived, the new BMW 735i offers you the considerable advantage of arriving a bit sooner. For a test drive, contact your local BMW dealer.
Nearly 80 million people have the security of health care coverage when and where they need it. They couldn't picture their lives without it. Could you?
Thus far in the first half of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Abercrombie with 22 yards rushing and 5 carries. He's still out with that Charlie horse. Ernest Jackson with 29 yards and 7 carries, and Rich Ehrenberg 47 yards and 8 carries. So the Steelers in the first half have rushed for a total of 98 yards. Martin Malone also rushed for 2 inches and a touchdown. 3rd down and 4 for the Steelers at the Cleveland 16-yard line. Throws the pass is complete at the 5-yard line to... I thought it was Weegee Thompson, but it's Lewis Lips. And Frank Menafield was battling him all the way.
And that was a nice throw by Malone here. Once again, it's the bump and run coverage. But Lips gets him to turn the wrong way. A lot of contact going on in there, fellas. And that's just simply a perfect throw to fit it around Menafield. And a nice catch, a good concentration by Lips.
And Lips is still bothered a little bit by that hamstring. A great reception at the 5. First down and goal to go. The Steelers now with an opportunity to take the lead. Malone fires it and it's there. Ehrenberg, touchdown.
Another Fine throw by Mark Malone. He had it fitted around Ellis and found Ehrenberg in the corner of the end zone. That's two very good throws back-to-back by Malone, something he has not done this early part of the season.
And the extra point is up, and it is good. And the Steelers, after trailing 10-0 now, have taken the lead 14-10.
AT&T, the right choice. On opening day, the Vikings and Super Bowl champion 49ers are tied at 21 with less than 2 minutes to play. Needing a touchdown from the 49er 10, do the pass-happy Vikings cross up the Niners with a run or throw the ball again? What would you do?
We made some changes that I know you are going to love.
Marty, I'll love it when I see it on paper.
Why wait for overnight delivery to make a business decision?
This won't fly, Marty. But my client will.
Fax what you need in seconds over AT&T long distance.
You gotta do more.
It's the most efficient way to send hard copy or pictures most anywhere.
Frank, now you're talking business.
You two are now one super agency.
For all the facts, call AT&T. The right choice.
What did you decide? The Vikings go with the run, and Ted Brown's touchdown confuses the 49ers and provides a dramatic upset win. The Vikings made the right choice.
All right, now watch the throw by Malone. A nearly perfect pass over the outstretched arms of number 24, Ray Ellis. It was set up because the Steelers like to take their tight end in the formation and run him across the middle in motion and then block him against the nose tackle. They faked it that time, pulled it up, and Malone found Ehrenberg in the end zone.
Anderson kicking off as McNeil takes it at the goal line. To the 10, 15, he's to the 20, the 25, breaks it to the 40. He's to the 50. This could be 100 yards and the lead for the Browns. He's got it. Gerald McNeil at 5'7", 146 pounds.
He did it a week ago against the Lions. He went 84 yards with a punt return. Now he does it with a kickoff return. Watch how quick he is. He has everybody running in the wrong direction. The kicker comes over, and you can forget about that. 146 pounds, as you said, the lightest man in the NFL. And you think back over the years, some of the great players that were small and tiny. Everybody says they can't do it. You had Nolan Smith, Supernet, they call him, from Kansas City. Remember him? And Walter Flea Roberts is the extra point is good by Barr, who played for the Browns. But he may be as exciting a little player or a player in football as there is today. I love to watch him.
Oh, yeah. 1974, Greg Pruitt was the last time that a Cleveland Brown went 100 yards with a kickoff return. Where'd Modell go? Art's already gone down.
He's going to congratulate him.
He's going to congratulate him.
Let's do that.
Oh, there he is. Look at that. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. Art's up talking with everybody now. He was alone by himself. Nobody wanted to talk to him. They get the return to him. Art Modell, of course, is the owner of the Cleveland Browns, for those of you that might not know.
And NFL 86, of course, the pregame show talked about the little big men in the NFL. Gerald McNeil is certainly maybe today the most prominent of that group. At least he's turning into it.
He is, at least in this ball game,
right?
That's for sure.
Lionel James from San Diego a year ago did everything everybody wanted, but McNeil is the new talk of the little big men around the NFL.
It's Gary Anderson. He started all, he kicked the ball.
And he ended it all, too, because he tried to make the final tackle.
New England has scored again. They now lead Miami 24-0. The Raiders on the board 17-7. Chicago still leads 10-0 over the Vikings. Giants and St. Louis still tied. Washington leads, and Philadelphia leads Atlanta now 7-0. Well, the Eagles win one. They think they can win them all, I guess. Kind of a short squib type kick. David Hughes returns for the Steelers. They certainly didn't want Pittsburgh to counter with a long kickoff return of their own. And of course you have the clock working, only 53 seconds left as Mike Johnson covers for the Cleveland Browns. And the Steelers, who had the lead a moment ago, and the lead lasted 15 seconds.
That's as long as it took McNeil to go.
Cincinnati leading and Detroit leading Houston. Those are the games in progress, and here it is Cleveland 17, Pittsburgh 14, and the Steelers at their own 40-yard line, first down. With 53 seconds left in the first half. Malone to throw. Has protection. Throws into coverage to Calvin Sweeney. It's incomplete, but a very good pass.
Yeah, it was another nice one. That's 3 in a row for Malone. And that's what he needs. He needs to have a couple of good throws and a good football game to get his confidence back up to the level where it belongs. He's a first-round choice, and they wanted him to have the job. He's come in as a good athlete. He's a team player. He gets the other players pumped up, but has taken so much of the abuse here in Pittsburgh because of his inability to move the offense.
Second down and 10. Malone drops it off. This is David Hughes. Hughes to the sideline to stop the clock at the 45-yard line. So it's 3rd down and 5. Frank Minifield makes the tackle. It was just a week ago that Gerald McNeil went 84 yards with a punt return that you talked about.
Yeah, and this is the longest in the history of the Cleveland Brown franchise. And just watch him, though. He's got so much quickness and speed, and he's one of those. You see the kicker once again. He has fun with those kickers at the end of the thing.
It's that matador. He just kind of olay as he goes by. So he does it again. This time, that was a punt return. This time, a 100-yard kickoff return for Gerald McNeil. Malone has pressure, steps forward. He ends up losing a yard. He does get sacked. For the Cleveland Browns, that is only their 6th sack of the year.
And now it's interesting because with 4th down, guess who's walking back onto the field? Gerald McNeil is still winded from the kickoff return, but this could be dangerous for the Steelers because he has the ability to, if not go all the way on every play, of course, to get them in position to kick another field goal. There is 32 seconds remaining.
That sack, by the way, is only the 4th time this year that Mark Malone has been sacked. And Harry Newsom will be punting to the Ice Cube himself, Gerald McNeil. Seconds left to play in the first half. Cleveland now leading by 3, 17-14. The Browns led 7-0, then 10-0. Pittsburgh pulled within 3, 10-7, and then in front 14-10, but then some 15 seconds later, McNeil with a 100-yard kickoff return put the Browns back on top by a score of 17-14. Turn is set up. They don't put that much pressure on him. He just stays away from it he goes for the sideline just to cut off any kind of a return, and it goes out at the 23-yard line. So Cleveland takes over on their own 23, first down with 24 seconds left to go in the first half. I would assume they'll be very content just to take one running play, let the time run down, and go into the locker room at halftime.
I think this deep in their own territory, that would be a smart move at this point. Again, Bernie Kosar likes that short passing game under Lindy Infante. That's at least what they've been doing this far. And I would imagine they'll simply sit on the football, go into the locker room down by 3 points.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. As Reggie Langhorne has become the safety man in case there is any kind of a fumble. So Kosar is just going to take back, put the ball down, and we'll let time run out in the first half. So you have to officially take the countdown. And the score at halftime is Cleveland 17 and Pittsburgh 14. And the Steelers have made it close, had the lead just for a moment until this man, Gerald McNeil, rambled 100 yards with a kickoff return.
Once again, though, the Steeler offense has been anemic. The 2 turnovers is what allowed them to go ahead and score their 2 touchdowns. But they've got to do more in the second half in the way of offense because they simply have not done anything to help themselves yet this half.
And now let's take a look at Gerald McNeil in action, a 100-yard kickoff return.
And his size really is not a detriment to him on kickoff and punt returns. It is as a receiver because he's small and difficult for a quarterback to find him. But here he's so quick because he does have that small size. He doesn't need a large crack, certainly, and he has a smaller target to get gripped at. That's the good portions of his small size in the NFL.
NFL 86 halftime activities with the score Cleveland 17, Pittsburgh 14 will continue right after these messages from your local station.
Tonight on Our House.
Our mom is out with a liar.
Can Gus make Jesse face the truth? Then it's Easy Street, where the laughs come by the millions.
Yes, this is all a hayride.
And on Valerie.
Don't do this. You're fixing me up, aren't you?
Will Mom's dream date turn into a nightmare?
Tonight.
Ever noticed how confident the right uniform can make you feel? Well, wait till you try out a Cintas uniform.
It's time to look at some things that are changing. It's time to think about some rearranging.
Cintas uniforms match just about any job.
Take a look. It looks so good on you.
Cintas, we fit your attitude.
It's been a long time coming. A better way to buy a better car. Oldsmobile for 1987 and the Cleveland Oldsmobile Connection. Lloyd Barker, Dowd, Earl, Ganley, Hearn, Gene Norris, Reliable, Fred Stecker, Zalad. The Cleveland Oldsmobile Connection. The dealers more people shop, the dealers more people trust. For Oldsmobile and a better deal. Make the connection.
A new role for Linda Evans, Monday on Entertainment Tonight.
Continuing now at halftime, we're going to talk a little baseball. As you know, the playoffs begin on Tuesday, and then the season is capped by the World Series on NBC. We've got a representative of each of the 4 divisional winners, and we'll start by going to Shea Stadium in New York to talk with the Mets' Keith Hernandez, whom I see is in a football frame of mind. What's with this get-up?
I've been a Raider fan for years, Bob, and I grew up in the Bay Area, and this shows I'm not a Raider front runner. They're going to be 2-3 after today.
So we'll do the whole interview with the helmet in place, right?
No, I'll take it off you.
What are your thoughts about facing this Houston pitching staff, which obviously was good all season long, and now they're heading into the playoffs on an incredible roll?
Well, they got a good ball club, and I thought that probably the best move they made was getting Hal Lanier as their manager. I always felt that Houston was a club that didn't have a lot of power and should have hit and run more and played a St. Louis brand of ball, and I think Hal's brought that there. They've always had the great pitching, and great pitching on both sides means for a very tough series.
Keith, do you accept the premise that there's more pressure on the Mets to win because the media and fans in New York expect you guys to win, whereas in Houston they hope they win?
Well, I disagree with that. You got a 7-game series, and really this is the one. You want to get to the World Series. You go through the whole year, and you start spring training to get to the World Series, and to be bumped off in a playoff, you don't get there. So I think it's the same feelings on both clubs. We're both, it's been a long year. We've worked hard. Only one team can win, and hopefully it'll be us.
Keith, thanks. Now let's go out to Houston and talk with Mike Scott, who will open the series on Wednesday against Dwight Gooden of the Mets. Mike, your thoughts about the possibility of 3 head-to-head confrontations with Dwight Gooden?
Well, I'm ready for it. My arm right now feels as strong as it ever has this late in the season, and I've thrown more innings, and I think that's due to throwing a lot more split-finger pitches than breaking balls. I've kind of gotten away from the slider and the curveball, and I think a split-finger pitch is a lot better for your arm, so I don't anticipate any problems with it.
Mike, you faced the Mets only once this season. You took a 2-hitter into the 9th and eventually got a no decision. Your thoughts about their lineup?
I think they're a real good hitting team, that's obvious, and I think they've got a lot of guys that can hit the ball out of the park. So what I want to do basically is stay ahead of them and not get behind and have to lay a pitch in there. And if we do that, I think we can be successful.
All right, Mike, let's go from the Astrodome to Fenway Park in Boston and talk with the likely American League batting champion Wade Boggs of the Red Sox. Wade, injuries are a concern as you head into the playoff series with the Angels. We know Tom Seaver can't make it. How about yourself, Rich Gedman, and Roger Clemens?
For the situation concerning myself, I think I'll be ready for Tuesday. I don't know about 100%, but I'll be out there giving it everything I can. And Rich Gedman hitting the cage this afternoon or this morning and he was fine. And as far as Roger Clemens goes, there's no swelling around the elbow, so I think he'll be fine. So I think we'll be all right.
Wade, you didn't play at all this weekend against the Yankees. Are you stung by the few who suggest that perhaps you backed out of a head-to-head confrontation with Don Mattingly?
Well, if they would have examined my hamstring and saw the doctor stick his thumb all the way into my hamstring, then you wouldn't have said that I was backing out. I had a tear in my hamstring about the size of a quarter, and the doctor said if I was to play, then it would hamper my chances to be in the playoffs. And the main thing on my mind right then was to make it to the playoffs. And going out here in the cold weather and the rainy, the damp weather would just endanger those chances.
Okay, so Wade Boggs says he'll be ready on Tuesday when the Angels come to Fenway and bring with them Rookie of the Year candidate Wally Joyner. Wally, a dream first season in the major leagues, and now the real fun starts, postseason.
It does. I'm looking forward to it. I think that the California Angels are healthy, and I think we're all looking forward to go to Boston and play in the postseason.
The Angels have done very well head-to-head this year against the Red Sox. Coincidence, or are the matchups favorable for you?
Well, I think we match up with them real well. I think our pitching staff is as good or maybe a little better than Boston's. Position-wise, I feel like we match up with them real well. Give and take one way or the other. Altogether, though, like you said, we've beaten them 7 out of 12. We lost a couple close ones, and it could have gone either more or less. So we'll take our 7 wins, and we'll go into Boston prepared and ready to face Roger Clemens and the Boston Red Sox.
So the playoffs open Tuesday at Fenway, Clemens against Witt, Wednesday in Houston, Scott against Gooden, and then the grand finale, the World Series, beginning in the National League City, Saturday night, October 18th, here on NBC. And NFL 86 halftime activities will continue.
Take a poor street hustler.
Is there a problem, officers?
And a rich fat cat.
Pork bellies. I knew it.
And put them in each other's shoes.
This kind of thing happens to me every week.
And you've got Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd trading places. A network movie premiere tonight.
Even without the computers, even without the printers or the monitors, this office still has one of the most advanced systems for moving information, the Ohio Bell Network, a constantly updated network that gives you access to the very latest technology. Because equipment comes and equipment goes, but when you plug into Ohio Bell, what you get is the system that makes it all work. Ohio Bell, helping you communicate.
Bob McBride and Doreen Gensler at 6 and 11 on Channel 3 News.
And we welcome those of you who've been watching the games from Pittsburgh and Detroit. Bob Costas with Ahmad Rashad and Paul McGuire. Let's get you updated on what's happening elsewhere. New England is pummeling the Dolphins. As we told you on the pregame show, they're calling the Miami D Miami Mice these days, and maybe it's affecting the offense too, because Dan Marino has troubles. On his first attempt of the day in the first quarter, the pass is intercepted by Ronnie Lepet, and it sets up a field goal by Tony Franklin. A bit later, Tony Eason threw a 2-yard touchdown pass to Willie Scott. They led 10-0 at the end of one quarter. In the second quarter, they build it to 17-0 on this scoring run from 7 yards out by Craig James. Then the next time they get the ball, Tony Eason goes back to work, and Irving Fryer will be on the receiving end of a 38-yarder. First, we watch James get his congrats from his teammates. Now watch Eason. He scrambles away. He throws on the run. He splits a pair of Dolphins. Fryer makes the catch and then improvises in the end zone with a little dance step. Very nice. And then just before the half ended, Tony Franklin adds a 27-yard field goal for a 27-0 lead. Paul.
Well, the Miami Dolphins defense, Bobby, they've got to be talking to themselves because they just can't even slow anyone down. Remember, the other teams are averaging 38 points a game against them. They already have 27, what is in the first half. There's no defense in this football team. And it's going to affect the offense. I mean, you're going to start forcing things.
The lone possible bad news for the Patriots, Tony Eason with an injured shoulder replaced by Steve Grogan. We don't know if he'll play in the second half. We'll try and get a report for you. Now, in Kansas City, the Chiefs might be on their way to a 4-1 start. They led 17-0 over the Raiders at one point. The Raiders have closed it to 17-7. A glum Al Davis, his team 1-3. And one of the reasons why Davis is unhappy, The health of Marcus Allen. Misses his second straight game with an injured ankle. Turnovers set up the first 10 Kansas City points. Ray Guy on the punt attempt fumbles, and it leads to a Nick Lowry field goal. Then after Mark Wilson botches a snap, Kansas City gets the ball back, and that drive ends with Boyce Green scampering around the left side for 18 yards and a 10-0 lead. A bit later, Todd Blackledge, a yard pass to Paul Kaufman, and it was 17-0. However, Tom Flory's team did get on the board on a Dokie Williams reception of 12 yards from Mark Wilson. Interesting, because the replay showed that Williams did not have possession in the end zone. The replay official was set to overrule the officials on the field, but again, they were unable to communicate down to the field, and so a call they wanted to change stood. More evidence of the ongoing failure, and it has to be called a failure so far. We'll see what happens in subsequent week, but thus far, it is an unmitigated failure of the instant replay rule around the NFL. No failures for Kansas City. They could be on their way to a 4-1 start.
They're paying real strong, boy. But, you know, the Raiders, I've always thought the last 2 or 3 years, have really relied too much on Marcus Allen. He's been the key to their running, their receiving. He's the best blocker on the team, and now that he's hurt, they're really paying the price. As far as Kansas City is concerned, last year I thought they were a team that may go all the way. They started fast and then they faded. But right now, they are playing extremely well. But no matter how badly the Raiders play, if you can beat the Raiders just because of their reputation, it is a tremendous emotional boost for your football team. And right now, Kansas City leading 17-7. They're very confident.
2 more notes from that game, Ahmad. Carlos Carson goes out, the chief wide receiver. He's got an ankle injury. Van McElroy, the defensive back for the Raiders, goes out for a different reason. Involved in a fight with Irv Eatman of the Chiefs, which isn't too smart to pick on a guy like that. McElroy will cool off the rest of the game in the locker room. The Bears take a 10-0 lead to the half at Soldier Field. The Vikings stop them at the 1 as time ran out in the first half to keep it close. The Giants lead the Cardinals, and that game has gone to the half. Battle of field goals. Allegre has 2 for New York, a 6-3 lead. Washington, halftime at the Superdome, the lead on the Saints, 14-6. Philadelphia leading Atlanta. Gerald Riggs left with a possible concussion for the Falcons. They haven't lost yet this year. They're 4-0, but they trail 10-0 at home at halftime. Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Let's look at some highlights from that game. The Browns have never won at Three Rivers, as their owner, Art Modell, knows only too well. The prospect of a long afternoon facing him, and his expression shows that. But things begin to look up for the Browns. Bernie Kosar, not known for his mobility, scrambles right and throws across his body 15-yard TD to Webster Slaughter, and that brings Mr. Modell to his feet. Now a bit later, after Pittsburgh had claimed a 14-10 lead, here's the Ice Cube, Gerald McNeil, fielding the kickoff at the goal line and scampering 100 yards for a touchdown. Last week against Detroit, he ran a punt back better than 80 yards for a score. This week, the 100-yard kickoff return, and if you were with us on the pregame show, Ahmad Rashad had a feature about little men in the game, and one of the people he talked about was the Ice Cube, who responds with that long run today. Cincinnati and Green Bay, the Bengals just got another touchdown. The Packers are on their way to an 0-5 mark. 27-7 is the score there. And one other score to report, Detroit with the lead at halftime over Houston, 21-13. Now let's send you back to the ballpark.
Welcome back to Three Rivers Stadium. This is Charlie Jones along with Jimmy Cephalo, and here the score is Cleveland 17 and Pittsburgh 14. The reason that I have the football is that...
Why do you have the football?
I have the football because of what happened to Bernie Kosar, and not everybody might not understand exactly the sequence of events.
Very good point. Bernie Kosar, the question was whether it was a fumble or whether it was an incompleted pass, because the ball did hit the ground. But the rule in the NFL is that if the arm is coming back and the ball is dropped, it is a fumble. Once the arm begins to come forward at all, then it is a forward pass. In that case, the officials ruled, again, it was a fumble there, the second quarter, I believe, but it was ruled that his arm was going backwards, and so it indeed was a fumble. Now, let's take a look at it. Kosar is coming back. The ball just slips plain out of his hands. Now, is his arm coming back, or is it moving forward? It is coming back, and there goes the ball out of the way, and it is recovered by Nelson. You see, it hits the ground, so in that sense, if his arm was going forward, it would have been simply an incompleted pass.
And this was what happened after the fumble recovery, and Malone takes it in, just kind of, it was inches away, and he just kind of wedged it back in. And following a fumble recovery by Robin Coe, and then it was Malone to Ehrenberg from 5 yards out for this touchdown, and that came with 1:13 left to go in the first half. And the reason that I mention that is because Gerald McNeil with a 100-yard kickoff return, crosses the goal line with 58 seconds to go. So the lead of the Steelers lasted a total of 15 seconds. In reality, the first half pretty well dominated by the Cleveland Browns, but they have made mistakes, and the Steelers have been able to capitalize on it. And you have the feeling here that the jinx is still in effect. Don't you have that feeling? I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen.
Well, people are going to talk about that, Art. If they happen to lose this football game, you're absolutely right. People are going to say, you know, Kozar's arm's going by, and something gets on his hands, and it slips away, and he got all those problems. But that's I don't believe it.
You don't believe in it?
No, I don't. I don't believe it.
I thought I saw the jinx in the book.
He's running around here. Let's take a look at the first half stats. Time of possession on the side of the Steelers, which is a little bit surprising, I guess. It seemed that they tried to get that running game going in the first half and were successful with Ehrenberg, who's been subbing for Abercrombie, and that's why the time of possession's in their favor. Total yards on the side once again of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 17-14 lead coming with Gerald McNeil's return, and that is not reflected in those specific statistics. But very close game in many ways here in this first half.
And the score: Cleveland 17, Pittsburgh 14. As Gary Anderson will be kicking off to the man himself, Gerald McNeil. His teammates have shortened that nickname just to Q. They're not taking any chances at all. Of course not. Picked up at the 15-yard line by one of the upbacks, and that's Fontenot. And Herman Fontenot out of LSU in his second year in the National Football League returns it to the 24-yard line. I tell you, the Browns may not see any long kickoffs for a while after everybody looks at that film.
For the rest of the season, you're absolutely right.
This is Charlie Jones along with Jimmy Cephalo as we start the second half at Three Rivers Stadium. In the history of Three Rivers Stadium, this is the 17th year that the Steelers have been here. They have never lost to Cleveland, or Cleveland has never won here. And Cleveland leads as we start the second half, 17-14. I said I think 24. It's a 29-yard line, very close to the 30. And Cleveland opens up throwing. The pass is complete to Reggie Langhorne, and he goes to the 49-yard line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. A gain of 21 yards on the play.
Lindy Infante's offense relies on a lot of option routes by the wide receivers and running backs. That time, it was his job to Langhorne's just to find an open spot in the defense and to sit down and just stop. Kozar had to find him, and he did for a 21-yard gain.
Brian Hinkle makes the tackle at the Pittsburgh 49. First down. Brian Brennan in motion. Little play action fake. Kozar fires it. His tip should have been intercepted. Eric Williams had the opportunity. The ball was tipped, but he couldn't pull it down. It'll be second down and 10 at the 49. Here's another look.
Was it tipped or was he just tied with it?
No,
it was tipped at the line of scrimmage. You're absolutely right. Over the head of Brian Brennan, and the Browns are fortunate not to get the interception on that play.
Second and 10 at the Steelers' 49-yard line. Pieces of paper are being strewn about in the air as if there's a snowstorm happening here at Three Rivers. Fontenot. No gain. May lose a yard back to the 50 as Edmund Nelson was there. Let's mark at the 50 and call it third down and 11.
Third down and 10.
Third down opportunities for the Browns. They are 0 for 4 in the ball game. And there you can see some of the paper that is being windblown around Three River Stadium. Kozar going deep far side, and he overthrows Ozzie Newsome. Almost had an opportunity to scramble for it. I thought he might go for it.
Now, he looked like he had enough opportunity to get the first down. They did need 10 yards, but he opted instead to go downfield. And an incomplete pass will turn into a punting situation for the Browns.
And Jeff Gossett will be kicking to Rick Woods. And Woods on that right hand, it is tape. You can see right there. He has a broken thumb. There's a little bit of pressure. It goes to the side. Woods waves everybody off, and it takes a roll inside the 5, but they're going to mark it down at the 16-yard line. And we've got a timeout with the score. Cleveland 17, Pittsburgh 14. 13 minutes left to go in the third.
Uh-oh, our new boss is here.
Yeah, and look what he's driving.
A Ford Bronco, too.
That tell you anything?
He's not your ordinary executive.
Right.
Or maybe he likes to be on top of all situations, like ice or snow with four-wheel drive.
Maybe he's the rugged outdoor type.
Well, he's probably a powerful boss. This baby's got a V6.
Yeah, and he sure likes luxury. Look at that interior.
Definitely into comfort.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
He is a she.
Definitely.
Ford Bronco 2, now with new two-wheel drive model, as well as traditional four-wheel drive. Built fun tough.
If you just ask for a light beer,
Give me a light.
You never know what you'll get.
Dogs. No, actually, Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, ask for Bud Light.
Yours?
No.
Because everything else
Give me a light.
Showtime.
is just a light.
Who has transformed home entertainment, bringing sight and sound together with one remote. Who? RCA, with Digital Command Component Systems. A choice of components operated by one remote that deliver a sight and sound experience you must experience. Digital Command Component Systems. If you settle for less than RCA, that's exactly what you'll get. Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By RCA, technology that excites the senses. And by your Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan, who reminds you to carry the caring card.
This is Charlie Jones. Jimmy Cephalo is Cleveland 17, Pittsburgh 14. The Steelers have the ball at their own 16-yard line. That's where the ball was first touched by a member of the kicking team. As Ernest Jackson gets the call, and he'll pick up a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 9. Let's go back to that kick by Jeff Gossett.
And the Browns wanted running into the kicker call here, but as you can see, number 42, that's Dave Edwards. He's blocked into the punter by number 88, Reggie Lang.
Yes.
So there is no foul. If he's blocked into it, there is no foul whatsoever.
2nd down. They mark it 2nd down and 8. And the ball at the 18-yard line. As Ehrenberg turns the corner on the left side to the 21. Gain of 3, and it's 3rd down and 5 as Anthony Griggs, the leading tackler for the Browns. Coming into this game is the man who brought him down. And let's check the games in progress as New England is just waltzing away from Miami. Kansas City leading the Raiders by 10, and Chicago shutting out Minnesota. The Giants in front of St. Louis. They trailed early in that ball game. Washington leading New Orleans, and Philadelphia out in front of Atlanta. That is an interesting ball game that's working there. Steelers have converted 5 of 9 3rd down opportunities. This is 3rd down and 5. And Ehrenberg leans to the 26-yard line. It will be close to the 1st down. See where the official is going to spot the ball. As Mark Harper was there for the Cleveland secondary. The chains on the far side of the field, so we will have a measurement as they'll be brought across. And Cincinnati out in front of Green Bay, and that means, of course, that Cincinnati's record will be 3-2. Houston creeping up on Detroit. Houston's record is 1-3, and it is just about 2 inches short of the 1st down. This is a point that you might want to gamble, but no. Harry Newsom will come in and kick. What do you think about a gamble here?
No, I don't think you gamble now. I mean, you're well inside your own territory. It's the opening minutes of the 3rd quarter. Just a 3-point difference is no time to gamble whatsoever. Too many things can happen. You kick the football away and line up one more time.
No, that's the good news. The bad news is you're kicking to Gerald McNeil.
And they'll be kicking out of bounds.
Well, that's right.
They've done it every other time since he's returned that kick.
Figuring this, the Browns will just go for the kicker, put the pressure on, rather than worrying about a return. And thinking about the possibility of a return, McNeil, he gets by him. He has touched the ball. It's the Steelers' ball if they get it in bounds. They have to have possession in bounds, and they do. McNeil made a very dumb play. Once it's hit the ground a couple of times, stay away from it.
Yeah, that's the prime rule of a punt returner. Once it hits the ground and starts bobbling around, just stay completely away from it. But he just boots this because he had enough time to pick it up. He kind of slips on the turf a little bit, or just runs by the ball, actually. And it's too late. It hits a fingernail, and it's all over.
And Donnie Elder comes sliding in with the recovery. And the ball is at the 35-yard line. Cleveland territory and a first down. And Ehrenberg goes to the 30. He picks up 5. Ray Ellis makes the tackle. It's second down and 5. And so the Steelers, very opportunistic in this ballgame, have one more chance.
And Ehrenberg getting a lot of work because of the injury to Abercrombie. Another big hit put on number 24, Rich Ehrenberg, this time by Ellis. Boom. 24 versus 24.
Ehrenberg, 11 carries, 59 yards rushing in the ballgame. Second down to mark it, 2nd and 6. As Ernest Jackson goes to the 28-yard line. It's going to be third down and about 4 as the nose tackle Bob Golick makes the stop.
And Golick is playing against Webster, who's coming off the injured reserve list today. And as we said earlier, the running attack of the Steelers has been anemic at best. But now with Webster back in, I think it's a psychological lift as well as anything, because the man who was replacing him, Dan Turk, played well enough. But with Webster in the middle, I think the players play a little bit better. He's an inspirational player for them. He directs them out there. He's kind of a coach there. You see him directing his guard to the right of him. They play better with him.
They're down and 4. The pass is complete outside. First down is Calvin Sweeney. One of the things they talk about is that as the offensive center, Webster can call the defenses and call the line blocking. How does that actually work?
Well, he comes up to the line of scrimmage and has to know immediately, take a look at the defense and decide whether it's a 3-man front or a 4-man front, where the linebackers are. And he calls out to his blockers on either side, making a decision by a numbering pattern. There's the quick out to Sweeney, getting up and enough for a first down.
Ernest Jackson and Chuck Sanders are the 2 running backs. It's a first down at the Cleveland 24-yard line. The play action fake. There's pressure. The pass is away, and it is caught inside the 10 to the 6-yard line. It is the tight end, Preston Gothard. Clay Matthews with the tackle, 18 yards, and the Steelers are back.
Another nice throw by Malone. A touch pass. He had to fit it in between a couple of people. A play action pass. One more time. They have the tight end going across the middle. Nice throw in between a couple of defenders for Mark Malone.
And it's first down goal to go at the 6-yard line with 9.5 minutes left to go in the 3rd quarter. Trailing by 3. Malone wanted to throw a timing pass into the left-hand corner. There was coverage there. He comes back to the right side to Lewis Lips. Touchdown. And the Steelers have the lead.
Regardless of what happens for the remainder of the contest, Mark Malone's played a pretty good football game.
Yeah.
And can help this team down the line quite a bit.
The extra point is good. The score is Pittsburgh 21, Cleveland 17, with 9:21 left to go in the 3rd. We'll be back with a kickoff.
You're about to see one of the many things this Ford Taurus can hold. It's called the Road. Ford designed the Taurus wagon to handle confidently and to respond with precision. Because you should get more out of a wagon than what you put into it. This is Taurus.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Nowadays, when it comes to telecommunications, there's a great deal of confusion. With so many different products and services available, it's a real problem knowing what's just right for your company. Well, we have a way to end that confusion and solve those problems. We can help custom tailor an entire telecommunications system to your company's exact needs. No, GTE.
Introducing Wendy's new Big Classic Hamburger.
This is the good stuff.
The soft Kaiser bun, the fat tomatoes,
This is the good stuff.
the fresh toppings, the beef.
This is the good stuff.
Wendy's new Big Classic.
One bite, one taste, one look, you'll see. This is the one the other burgers wanna be. This is the good stuff.
Wendy's new Big Classic.
Can't get enough. This is the good stuff.